From Forex Traders Daily, this is your daily analysis with Ross Mullins, live from Richmond, Virginia.
Hello everyone, this is today's video analysis for August 18th, 2016. In just a moment, we're going to be taking a look at the AUDUSD, the Australian versus the US dollar, for today's trade analysis. But first, a recap of one of the trade suggestions made over the past few days. Starting here on the EURUSD, the euro versus the US dollar, yesterday's trade analysis called for buying on a dip into support because of the market breaking through the trend line and the historical resistance level, which became support. Let's go ahead and take it out here to the daily chart real quick. We're looking at the euro-dollar daily time frame. The green trend line is what we were looking at yesterday. The market had broken through that trend line. It sat on top of that trend line and the 100-period simple moving average. 1.1230 up to 1.1250 is the yellow shaded area. So we noted the fact that we were above it, all of those indicators, and any dip to support would be in the direction of the current trend and momentum. So take it back down to the 4-hour time frame. As we saw news yesterday, FOMC out of the US yesterday, it did indeed dip back down to the yellow zone, dip back down to the 1250 level. The suggestion was buying on top of that level. And you can see I have the buy still going, 1.1250 down here at the bottom of the chart, currently sitting with 73 pips of profit as it's continued to pressure back up. I've moved the hard stop loss into profit. The stop loss is now at 1.1270. That's where this red line on my chart is. So that's where my stop loss is, which is in profit, locked in 20 pips of profit. I can't lose on the trade. It's a good idea to close a portion of that trade as it continues to pressure higher, just to be sure you are able to capture profit on the trade. The next resistance level is 1.1355 to 75. That's the blue shaded area here. So what we need to see today is the continuation, to hold above this orange shaded area, really holding above 113 to see it head back up into the mid to upper 113s. If today we see any positive news out of the US and it starts to turn back lower again, likely we could get taken out of that trade at our break even or locked in stop loss. So be aware of that. Positive news sends us back lower. We need it to stay above 1.1300 today to see further profit higher for the euro dollar. All right, similar situation over here on the AUDUSD. We're watching the uptrend. We're watching for clues and opportunities to go long on this currency pair in the direction of the uptrend. Over the past few days, we have seen the market kind of stuck inside a little period of congestion. Take a look at this red box, top right hand corner of the chart. You see this red box. We've been bouncing around top to bottom of that red box for a few days now. Well, several days now. Red trend line here. That's an interesting trend line. Let's take it out to the weekly time frame. Take a look at this, that long-term red trend line right there. Over the past several days, we've been challenging, unable to break, but challenging that long-term red trend line. That goes all the way back into the beginning of 2013, by the way. So take it back down to the daily time frame. Zoom it back in here again. There's that red trend line. Very interesting that the market 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days have been challenging, unable to break it. I think if we can get through that trend line, we're likely to look for a continuation higher for the Australian dollar. We did get some positive news also out of Australia yesterday that should give this some upside momentum if the market starts to become bullish here for the Australian dollar. So definitely watching for that. At least at this point, we know that as long as it stays above this blue zone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days now above the blue zone, we're finding support. So we don't really want to go short. It doesn't make sense to sell it on top of that blue shaded area because that's support. The only reason you would even consider reversal is if it breaks through the bottom of that blue zone. So we attempted false breakout here, back above it, now sitting on top of there. So as we've been talking about in the live trade room, potential buys here into the blue zone on dips into the bottom of this red box are a possibility. At least right now, I think your stop loss probably is underneath that last low. But again, I think the main focus would be buying here. Fundamentally, it makes sense for this to go up with the positive news that we saw out of Australia yesterday. So let's take it down here to the 4-hour time frame. Again, we saw that false breakout here. The market on the 4-hour did indeed push underneath the blue shaded area, but as you noted on the daily time frame, it didn't open and close underneath the blue zone. Now we see the market dipping back down towards the blue shaded area as support once again here into the mid to upper 7,600. So as long as it's above the blue zone, I think we're looking for buying opportunities. Interesting here also is this little bit of a falling channel. If I take two red trend lines like this, and you can see this little falling channel, or maybe you consider that a flag pattern or something like that, definitely watching that. Buys on dips into support, buys on the dips down into the lower portions of that become an opportunity. The other opportunity is a break above resistance, which would be above the green shaded area at this point in time. I'm hoping that we don't see it take a turn all the way back down to the pink zone, but that's not out of the question, especially if it breaks down 76.45. So for the day today, what I think is we're looking for that news, of course, out of the U.S. at 8:30, about 29 minutes from the recording of this video. If it's positive for the U.S., we're probably looking for the breakdown of the blue shaded area and a target back down to the pink zone. If it's negative for the U.S., I think buying the blue zone, targeting the green zone, and then the yellow zone, and looking for some more upside out of the Australian dollar today will be the main factor that we're going to be looking for. So watching for that news at 8:30 a.m. Eastern U.S. time out of the U.S. And then if it's, again, negative out of the U.S., we buy it. If it's positive for the U.S., maybe a dip back down to the pink zone becomes our next opportunity for the Australian dollar today.
From Forex Traders Daily, this has been your daily analysis with Ross Mullins. If you would like to get Ross's analysis on all the currency pairs he's watching and all the trades he takes today, join him in his live trade room by clicking on the link below. Please leave any comments you have about today's video in the comments section below.